Welcome to Bridge the Gap. My name is Holden Stephan Roy. This is the show where we talk to interesting people, such as Obsouleet over here. We go through their life story and we extract some knowledge nuggets. And we just kind of, what I really enjoy about it is for stuff like a little spoilers. He's from Kentucky and I'm from Montreal. You know how many people I ever talked to from Kentucky? Not many, if I can recall it. A pretty big zero of astounding memories that I have from that. So it's like pretty dope for me to be able to like have the experience like that. On that note, I did spoil it a little bit, but if you could just confirm for us and let us know a little bit where you come from to start your life before we really get into it.
Man, so what's crazy is you talk about, you don't know anybody from Kentucky and shit. So how many people do you know that were born in Alaska?
None.
So now you know
Well, I
somebody else.
lied. I might actually know people that are born in Alaska and I'm not aware of it. But
Right, right. But
cognizantly,
like, yeah.
yes,
So
just
I was
as like the
also
same shit.
So I was born in Alaska, man. I lived there until I was like 3 years old. I was a military brat baby. So I tell people that shit, and of course that automatically throws them off. And I always get the "No, the fuck you weren't," and it's like, no, I don't remember it, but I've seen videos and pictures and shit. It's like it's on my fucking birth certificate. Um, but yeah, and then I moved all over as a kid, man. I lived in Washington State for a few years, New York for pretty much the other half of my life. Like
Awesome.
I've spent about 17 years in Kentucky total.
So we're gonna
But
run through a lot more detail on that, but what's really important is that the beginning part of this starts in Alaska, and then we're gonna run through it, and you're gonna see it's
okay,
pretty sequential to your life story. I do have
I
an
got
opening question that I like to ask everybody. And what's up, Immortal? I see you in the chat. Um, oh, is the chat? Oh yeah, the chat's right. Never mind. So I do have it's an opening question, a little bit of a story. When it lands, you can take it away, and we'll start getting to know you a bit better. And I'll start with my girlfriend. She's washing the dishes one time. She's got her phone out and she's playing that Black Eyed Peas song. The I got a feeling. Ooh.
you.
She's like vibing and she's dancing and she's doing her thing. And I look at her and I wonder to myself, when in the fuck did this song become chores music? Right? Because if you think about this song, it used to be like middle of the night, amazing times, everybody drunk, dancing, doing their thing. 10 years
Yep.
goes by, 11 years goes by, we all get a little bit older. The song does not change in the least because it's a song, but our relationship with it evolves in such a way where it goes from being the party music, the highlight of the night, to I really wish I was back partying and instead I'm washing dishes slash working out slash insert activity that's kind of actually boring low key. Um,
Yep.
and then that got me just thinking about the relationship of music we have over time and how it evolves. Like if we think about all these little 20-year-olds running around, like they be on the pop smokes and whatnot. They don't know that one day that's gonna be their like 30-something-year-old with dishes washing music. And they don't know that when I found Pop Smoke I started washing dishes to it because that's kind of what we do. We just moves on like that. And then I realized that as we're going through the different stories of artists and we started listening to all of their trajectories and the way that they go through their lives, everybody kind of starts the story at the same place. This adolescent phase when they come into their own. I started listening to hip hop when I was 12 and I found this tape, or I started writing at this moment. And it's like, this is all super important information, but it is absolutely not the beginning of the story. It's just some chapter that comes a bit later on. Like I'm willing to bet money in Alaska when you popped out in the hospital and whatnot, whatever military base thing, what a hospital, there was some music playing and you were absorbing that shit and nobody remembers what the fuck it is. And I know that because like I can think about being like 5 years old, super, young. And we're in this apartment in Montreal, and there's all these gray boxes on the wall. There's the fucking tape deck, the amp, the preamp, the radio, and all the wires going to all the speakers all around the room in the apartment. And my dad would be busting his Led Zeppelin tapes and things like that. And at night, it would be live from the clubs in Montreal, the doom techno musics and different things like that that would be playing throughout the 90s. My mom's, she was more into the musicals and the love songs and the whole other vibes. Disco was big for her. Things like that played around me. All of this surrounded my life when I had no control over the soundscape of my existence, but it still influenced me and it still impacted me as a person. So I was hoping, Obsolete, you could bring us back to the youngest Obsolete you can remember being, whether it's Alaska or the next phase, and tell us a little bit about what you remember it sounding like with regards to the musical taste of your parents and the environment?
So, crazy story that I remember, like, not necessarily remember, but have seen photo and unfortunately evidence because I'm old enough to be from when VHS tapes were still a thing and everybody had the big ass home camcorders and shit. Um, but I have seen video footage. I had to have been probably like 2 years old, dude. And I was running around the house in a fucking diaper and some giant cowboy boots that I had no business having on, and this little fucking hat, and running around dancing to I want to say it was Salt and Pepper's fucking hot push it or whatever. And don't quote me 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And I saw that later on in life. That was one of those blackmail things that I always heard about and actually saw for myself. And I still wasn't fully known about my passion for music when I saw it, so I guess it didn't really make sense. But now, thinking of stuff like that, like, you're exactly right, man. As long as I can remember, music, was a part of it. Like, you talk about that next phase. I don't remember much about Alaska. I don't remember much of a lot of my childhood up until I was about 7, 8 years old, right before I moved with my grandmother up in New York.
And which part
But
of
I
New
know,
York
like,
were you in?
uh, it's a town called Little Valley, man, and it's exactly that, like population 1,007 or some shit. Like that was last year's census. Like it's tiny, tiny, bro. Middle of nowhere. Like my grandparents had 30 acres, give or take. So that was pretty much the earliest. Like I remember being about 7, 8 years old when I lived on the military base in Olympia, Washington, and going to see like the Mount St. Helens and things like that. And that we'll get to later on because that actually plays a huge part of my life still today. But like music wise, man, I was like 10 years old when I lived with my grandparents, and I used to go to church a lot because my grandmother was, big into church and all of that. And I was singing in, like the choir and doing like little competitions with youth groups and stuff like that. And that was really the first time I ever found, I mean, obviously, you hear music on the radio, all that, all that time growing up and stuff as you're a kid. But I guess then was really when I started to
So it's more
realize
like
how much it was impacting me.
so basically when you were like really young, a lot of stuff happened. You weren't really caring about the music as much. It was just more like a background thing that it kind of kicked you into high gear when you hit the churches up and
Pretty much, not. I know we'll get into all that later, but like my early childhood wasn't. I tell people all the time I'm pretty sure I wasn't wanted from the moment I got here, and then my siblings came along and just kind of verified that. So most of those childhoods and shit like that, I don't necessarily don't want to think about, but honestly, when I try to sit down and think about like memories from my childhood and really try to, I'm an average marijuana smoker. My memory shit anyway. But when what I'm talking about when you sit down and have those come to
actually, yeah,
Jesus,
I kind of
you
do.
know,
Sometimes when you go through some shit when you're young, this is not the funnest shit to go down that path.
yeah. And it's easy to push that shit out and try to leave room for the good shit that you remember. And that's why I said about the time I was 10 when I moved in with my grandmother. That was really I can remember a lot of my life from then on. It's like because although there was still a lot of shit going on, there was also heavy. Looking back at it now, exactly like you said, there was heavily influence of music that really started to mold who I became. And still becoming to this day.
Right. So like, do you remember outside of music if you had any like passions or hobbies from prior to 10 years old that you were like up to?
I always loved like riding my bike and doing like typical kid shit at that age. I was semi into like sports. I think I played like soccer when I was 7, 8 years old. Nothing serious like that. But really no, man. I didn't even get introduced to actual like video games until I was about 10 years old when I moved in with my grandparents. It's like so. I mean, I think my dad had a PlayStation when I first lived with them before I moved up there, but like we didn't. They had one giant Dell laptop at the time, like just just crazy shit looking back like that. So, we didn't have a whole lot, and living on a military base, I remember the coolest thing I could do then was I could ride my bike from the house to school every day because it was close enough to the house that I could just ride and park my bike at school. So I remember stuff like that. And then, like I said, the cool stuff going to like Mount St. Helen up in Washington. That was pretty cool. That was a unique experience. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as like that far back with my childhood, honestly.
I respect that still. I mean, I just like sometimes people had the wildest stuff, but even then, you just told us a whole lot about who you are through your story, and I think it's really interesting just to absorb that kind of experience. So then you get
Yeah.
into the church thing at like 10, and you're
Yeah.
participating in competitions.
Yeah, like through the youth group. I actually went to Syracuse at one point, and I can't remember where else, but I actually, like, at one time, God, I wish I knew where they were, but at one point I had a couple little, like, they look like the participation trophies, but like the little plastic trophies with the plaque and my name on it and stuff. Like, I had won a couple competitions singing crazy church songs, and was in like choir in school, coinciding with that and stuff like that. I was, but didn't really, looking back on it, I didn't take it serious. I kind of think I did it more so to, as you'll learn about me more, my grandmother, as I mentioned, when I moved in with her, like, she became my mom. In the grand scheme of things, that she became my mom that day. And you know, she was into church. That was her thing. That was, she loved all that stuff. So I think it was easy for me to mesh with, because that underlying passion for music was there that I didn't know about, but also that sense of like, want to make somebody proud and make somebody, this woman took me into her home. All her kids were grown, like when she took me in, had been grown. She didn't have to raise her grandkid at 10 years old. So every part of me
Shout
wanted
out your
to do
grandma,
right
eh?
by her. Huh?
Shout out your grandma.
I mean, RIP, man. I lost her in 2008, and I still think about her every day. So, you know, I had her for a few years, and I loved every minute of it. And you talk about them memories, man. One of those the fondest things. We went to, I think it was Toronto, and saw the Lion King live on like the Broadway type thing up there. And dude, I could remember that shit like it was yesterday, and I was probably 11 and a half, 12 years old at the time. Like, so, yeah, memories like that, man. That's why I say I remember a lot of that shit because those years were the fondest years for the most part for me, if that makes sense.
Nah, it really does make sense. I mean, what you're describing though is something that I think a lot of people can relate to with regards to the way people deal with childhood memories, especially when it's not wonderful. Like I don't remember a lot of my childhood. I mean, I have snippets and visions of things. There's a lot of in my case there was a lot of video games, but like it's more like archetypes of shit. I know things happen, and a lot of it is other people's memories that have been fed to me since I'm older, and I don't really remember a lot of it prior to like a certain age. So I totally get what you're saying. Um, and then as you're going through like a church choir at 10, I mean, like, to be fair, 10 is not the age a lot of people take a lot of things seriously. It's very rare I come across the person who's like, yo, I was 10 and giving it 1,000,000% effort. I have, in fact, recently I talked to a girl who was like, nah, I'm like 10 and I'm doing 6 hours a day just to prove I can. Me and my brother were competing to out practice each other. And I'm like, damn, that was not me at 10. But um, do you remember when you started getting into music for yourself? Because one of the things you said was like your relationship with music changed due to the fact of you participating in these church choir things.
So like, I remember, from what I remember being young, and like it was still kind of the same as I was older. My quote unquote parents, they always listened to like country, 80s hair band shit like that. And my grandmother, Johnny Horton was one of her favorite artists, man, and it cracks me up because I'll still listen to it every now and then. But, um, music really for me, I want to say I was like 11, almost 12, and my aunt, she used to listen to a lot of like Bone Thugs and Notorious B.I.G. and stuff like that, and that was the first time I had ever really heard anything other than country and hair bands, and that really caught my ear just because I think the obviously something different. But really looking again, when you look back at stuff, I think honestly then was when it all kind of started to piece itself together, I guess, because I love singing in the choir and love doing that type of stuff, like, that atmosphere and stuff like that. But singing was never really what I wanted to do. It was just kind of what I did. Um, and then, I
Oh,
heard,
were you good?
because,
I mean, I know it's kind of
oh, I mean,
subjective, but like, were you a good singer as a kid?
I won a couple awards. Like, I think I took second and one, and like I said, it was for church stuff, man. But it was, we went to Syracuse, me and three other people from my church, because we had won some different competitions to make it to like this thing up in Syracuse. But I was decent. I won't say I was like some grand singer by any means. But I've always had a very unique voice, so I think they kind of learned how to utilize that and put songs that I could do really well. And I still sing to this day. I hate saying that, but like I sing at the house and stuff. And with my music, I'm trying to learn to incorporate some of that as well, getting more comfortable with my voice and stuff like that. So, I'll say I was okay. I won't say I was good or great by any means, but I was all right, I guess.
I appreciate your humbleness. I mean, I don't know if I was able to win awards singing at 10. I got the opposite. Like, yo, don't sing, bro. It's not. Don't quit your day job. Was a big staple of that. So like, and it's also cool because you got a lot of practice. Because I was watching it live, and you were like, relatively comfortable, as comfortable as one can be when in giant open rooms, and you're wishing there's more people in the room.
Yeah.
Um,
That one you were watching when you were talking about my socks, man. That was actually the first like legit performance I had done last year, and that was like the first performance I had done in probably like 8 years. Like, yeah. So it's been that, I know we'll get there, but all that's been a long road coming, man. Like that in itself, to be there and comfortable like that, bro. It took a lot. It did.
I believe it, and I mean, it starts with those kinds of experiences. That's why, yo, shout out Becky 2484. It took a lot to get him to loosen up that much, but now he's getting it. Big
That's
respect.
my fiance.
Yo, shout out Becky holding it down. Everybody shout out the fiancés. Yo, everybody
Bro,
knows that those people, the ones that support us like that,
bro, I'll be the first to tell you while we're on that subject, man. And I tell her almost every day, like, she don't realize she is just as much obsolete as I am, man. Like, because when her and I got together, I wasn't doing music anymore. I was at a weird point, So it's like without her, I damn sure wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now. I'd put my life on that, It's like, so yeah, definitely shout out her.
shout out Becky 2484 one more time, yo. But yeah, no, that's really cool. I like that stuff. So you're running the competitions, and then you're a teenager, and you're getting into hip hop because your aunt showed it to you. And what else is
Yep.
happening in your life at that time, in the middle
I
of
was
nowhere, New
heavy into
York?
I was heavy into sports, man. I was really into playing football. I really got like, I don't know why. I've been this size my whole life, man. I've always been little. I started playing running back in Pee Wee football
I'll be
when
real
I
with
was in
you. I
sixth
have no
grade.
idea how tall or big you are relative to the
I'm,
size.
I'm 5'8" and like 160 pounds on a good day.
All right,
So,
I
not
see you.
big enough to really be trying to be a running back running people over, but I tried out for. I'll never forget, man. I tried out for the football team, and the coach, his son, was the starting running back, and I told him what position I wanted to play, and he's like, "No, I think you might need to be like a wide receiver or maybe play on defense." And I was like, "No, dude." I want to play running back, and I'm gonna play running back. And naturally, by the time it was all said and done, I was playing running back and took over his son's starting position. And just I fell in love with football,
Hold
man,
on.
at a young
Is
age.
that your way of saying that you were like, fuck that, you're not better than me, and you did what you had to do to be better than the coach's son
Bro,
because only way it was going down?
yeah, I mean, that's been my attitude my whole life, man. Like I said, I've kind of, as an adult, realized I kind of wasn't wanted from the moment I got here. So I don't necessarily want anybody or any, body to want me or feel pity on me. But at the same time, I'm going to go get what the fuck I want. And if I put my mind to it, you ain't gonna stop me. Like, and I think at a young age, especially then, like, them teenage years, man, you're starting to get the little hairs on your chest and, start thinking what life is. So it just kind of added into that cocky, like, I'm gonna prove you And that's what I did, man. Like, and that's still what I do to this day.
Yeah, I respect that. Um, so after the football, are you like getting heavy into music at the same time? Are you like just kind of pushing sports?
It was really about sports up until, like I said, I lived with my grandmother from the time I was about 10 to 11, and then I moved back to Kentucky. I was almost 14. Um, Fell out of sports from there. Long story short, was supposed to keep doing it, was told, didn't have the money for me to do it. Found out later in life my grandmother would have, paid that to keep me doing football and shit. Because like I said, I was actually pretty good at football. I did some middle school wrestling and stuff like that, but football was like my passion almost as much as music is now. I loved every minute of it. So moved back with the parents, went back to the, would rather spend more time at school or hang out at the friend's house before I come home type. So kind of fell out of all of that, and really music didn't come back around until I think it was like my sophomore year. I started writing poetry, not really any like music or anything, just kind of started writing. And of course, it wasn't like haikus or stuff like that. It was rhyme schemes, a b patterns and stuff like that. And then shortly after that, it kind of
So
started
what what
into.
what, what made you start writing poetry?
I think looking back at it now, man, like that was before I really knew about depression and shit, and I think that was just my way to get it out. I've always been one, there's still stuff I don't. I talk to my fiance all the time. I don't like to talk about my feelings. I never have been, and I'm still getting comfortable with that. And I think at a young age, I didn't talk to nobody about my stuff. I mean, everybody kind of knew, my close friends kind of knew what was going on, but poetry for me was just a way to kind of write it down like a journal, I guess, and just kind of, put it away and not worry about it. Um, and then through that, like I said, at that time, I was still heavily influenced with the hip hop that I had kind of picked up living in New York, and started learning more about different artists in that genre. More so as a rebellious, like I was heavy into ICP then, and various, like my playlist was almost as wild then as it is now. But music was really starting to. You didn't see me without a pair of headphones on. Like it didn't matter if I was sitting in class, if I was riding my bike to my homeboy's house, headphones on, music playing.
Can I just say I was listening to
You're
one of these
good.
tracks and I was like, this shit sounds like Magic Ninja Entertainment. I'm 90% certain ICP is gonna come up at some point.
It's funny, man. I'm actually, you talk about that, Ouija Mac.
Yes, I mean I
He's
know
coming to
of him.
Louisville, and he's coming to Louisville in March, and I'm trying to work out the details on that. I might be opening up for him. So, and then I'm actually opening up for Haystack down in Clarksville, Tennessee next month as well. And so, doing a whole bunch of shit, man.
No, your sound actually really makes sense with that circuit. That whole Juggalo nation, regardless to whoever is friends with who in that scene.
Yep,
But
it don't. It's all about music, man. It's all about like me with mine, especially. Like it's all about. Yeah, I talk about my life and stuff, but it's like I just talk about what's what I relate to. Yes, and I hope other people can relate to too. Because at the end of the day, like I love what I do. It's fun for me, and it's I don't want to call it a hobby by any means, because I put just as much time in, whether it's recording and all that, or everything else, as I do a real job. But it's what I love to do. But I don't want to, like you said, those genres and stuff, man. I don't want to necessarily be in any one lane. Like I'm trying to kind of pave my own, if that makes sense. So I'm tapping into all of it if I can.
I totally hear what you're saying. Um, I guess I just look at it at a certain point. You're like, yo, you totally want to pave your own lane, but it's also real good to know what fans are gonna fuck with you.
Oh yeah, networking, man. Networking, like that is the key. People don't understand. Just putting your face out there and talking to the people, man. Like music brings people together. It doesn't matter what you listen to. Everybody listens to music in some shape, form, or fashion.
And the people who don't, and every now and again I meet them, I usually don't get along with them. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I feel bad for him, man. Like, what do you do? Like,
Yeah, they like other things. Don't get me wrong, but like, cause I used to be in like I'm in corporate land the entire time I'm a rapper. I'm in the corporate sphere. Trying to hustle hip hop to a bunch of grown ass people in an office place is a mad different experience, and you discover there are in fact people who just legit don't listen to music, or if they do, it's like ambiance sounds, like the ambiance section. I'm like, yo, I don't understand your life, but they're
music
they got
on
other
hold.
hobbies. I'm sure those I'm sure those people have Twitch on or some shit though, and like watched gamers and shit too, because there is something
Something,
people
yeah.
do. But I always went the music route when I was younger.
It's just a go-to, man. Like that's what I say with everybody. Music, happy, sad, good, bad, music. Like you said earlier about washing dishes and stuff, man. It goes from that to hopping in the car and just wanting to ride out and vibe out, or music. Plays a role in your life. Regardless, it's everywhere. So it's just
Mm,
how you choose to incorporate with it, I guess.
that's facts. To me, a shower isn't a proper shower without music.
Bro, feel that in my soul.
So like after the sports thing, as you're running through high school, I guess what kind of evolves next for you? Like, was you leave the high school era?
So I dropped out like 4 months before I was supposed to graduate. Got kicked out. I turned 18 and, I was like, all right, I'm grown. Started doing the job thing, got my GED. Um, Linked up with some people here in Hoptown that were doing music just kind of on the off chance. I was living with a guy I used to go to school with, and his brother had a studio, and we all used to fuck off and freestyle and just, do dumb shit. And everybody kind of, I guess could kind of see what I wasn't really seeing at the time. It was just kind of, oh, fun to do. My buddy was like, hey, man, my brother's got a studio. You should go over there and, y'all should link up. So I went over there and did some music with him, and it was one of those. We met up. He kind of started playing a beat. We kind of all conversated. It was me, him, and his brother. We were all standing in there. Um, he's like, "Oh man," he's like, "You've seen Hustle and Flow, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you
What?
remember? You remember?" Yeah, of course, And I was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "You remember that whoop that trick, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." He's like, "All right, watch this." So he grabs the keyboard and he started playing it on the keyboard. And of course, yeah, of course, we're all, been smoking and doing our thing that day, and we just kind of start this little cipher, man. And so we did that for like 20, 30 minutes, and that was fun. And then we're like, hey, man, we're going to do a track. So we all sat down and wrote some verses together and slapped together, hindsight looking back at it. It was a very sloppy, not very well thought out track. But, at that moment, like I wrote my verse and I thought it was the greatest shit I had ever wrote, and it was like, all right, I'm gonna go record it. And of course, it took a little while to get it right and shit. And that minute, that first time I stepped in front of that mic, man, like I've said it before and I'll say it again, I felt like I was at home, man. Like that right then was when I knew music was really, you know, who I am. Like I don't know, it was all like I said, it was crazy how it all panned out. I went to school with the dude, but him and I were never really cool. It just wound up some crazy situation. We lived together outside of high school. His brother had a studio. One thing led to another type.
Yo, Hustle and Flow is a really good movie. that
Fucking
that's
dope movie.
that scene, and I didn't even think about this for years. When I was like what 14, 15, I think when that shit came out or whatever. I saw it a little bit later on though, and I remember watching that scene, and it was like one of the first times because like YouTube hadn't really popped yet, so it was one of the first times I ever saw somebody like actually put a beat together, and then they like do the song in like that room. And that is one of
Yeah,
those
dude.
pivotal moments where I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be a rapper. It was watching that scene in Hustle and Flow.
Dude, I remember just watching that movie, and like I said, that was before all that shit. Just music, man, like, throughout my teenage years, like I said, up until I left high school, it was the same thing, 24/7. You saw me with headphones on, like listening to whatever it might have been. And, it just so happened, like I said, everything lined out. And it was just crazy that was his go to. Like, I can make that beat on the keyboard right quick. And he just started, and
That's
I don't
wild.
know.
So y'all did a cipher, Made the back room
Yeah.
track in your fucking basement or whatever. And you guys had mics and
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah, he had like so he had it set up in his room, and he had like this little side room where he had the little mic and all that stuff set up, and he had all his keyboard and all that stuff, man, and we all just sat right in there on, like, I want to say there were the little camping chairs, bro. Like, we all camped out with the little notebooks, and everybody's ripping out a piece of paper and finding something to write on, and we all slapped these verses together and went and recorded them. And I'm pretty sure if I dove deep enough down the wormhole, I may be able to find that track somewhere. I wouldn't guarantee it, but yeah, it was a crazy, like, eh, spur of the moment, I guess. Like, me, him, and I can't remember the other kid's name that was there, but it was us three.
So you had the guy who you can't remember, next man's from school, this whole studio set up. You make this organic,
Yeah.
like, spur of the moment track, and that launches into a whole thing.
Yeah, so I wound up that guy that had the studio, that's who I wound up working with before I ever became obsolete, because there's that whole flip side to this thing too that, we
What was your
had
name
dove
back then?
into. Two Face. I've actually got it. It's still tattooed on my forearms, man. I did it for 10, almost 11 years doing it that way. Long story short, we can dive into that a little bit if you want, but, it's kind of one of those, life happened. We went, separate ways, had kids, did all that good shit, and it is
Well, I
what it
mean,
is. No
we
hard
should,
feelings.
but in the middle part, so like, I mean, I don't usually like to go into the dramatic negative parts people don't want to share
Oh, you're
about, but
good.
like the other part of it where like you go through being two-faced, I mean, that's a whole part of your life still is that it should be just,
Yeah.
described.
It was so we did, like, in total, I want to say it was like two, maybe three albums worth of stuff. I did some music with some other guys throughout that time. We did, that's why I said, man, like, a handful of shows. Like, it wasn't even enough. I can remember two or three of them, like, off the top of my head if I thought hard enough about it. But we were more just like recording a bunch of tracks and putting out a bunch of shit, thinking,
And how are you
flood the
releasing them?
masses, I guess. Huh?
How did you release them?
At the time, we were doing CDs, and then right about that time, I think, was when he started learning about the what was it, DatPiff, I think it was, the mixtape site. So we used that just to upload the albums that we had made, and just did it that way after we had tried to push as many physical copies as we could with the stuff.
Did you do well with the pushing physicals? Like, because I don't know a lot about the Kentucky market,
Uh,
right? So it's like a whole
the
different.
first album we did pretty well with the first album, but we had built up, like, that's the thing. Him and I at one point were doing really well around here. Like, we had quite a good following around here, and, like, people really kind of rocking with us. So when we dropped the album,
So
it was easy to
how did
get.
you do that without performing shows?
Well, we that's why I said, man, he was probably 3, 4 years older than I was. I don't remember, maybe more than that. But, like, he kind of had his own network of people that he went to school with that were kind of doing their thing, and then I had, a few people that were younger than me. So between those little crowds, because you got to think back then, really that was like right at the start of the era of the SoundCloud rappers and all that stuff. That was back like 2008, 2009 when him and I really first, like, started hardcore doing it like that. But yeah, so at that time, I think we did one show here in Hoptown at the Princess, and that was insane what we paid to do that show, and it did pretty decent. But at that time, we were more focused on just recording a bunch of shit, man.
I understand that. Sometimes the fun part is recording, and then all the other parts are not that fun.
Yep. And at the time, man, like, we didn't really know much about, booking shows, and, we were trying to learn as we go. Like, I know himself, he was still learning, all the ins and outs as far as the engineering side of that, because I tell people all the time, I'm no engineer. I record, and I can do enough to make it sound okay to where I can send the rough mix off to somebody and be like, all right, here's your guideline, and here's my vocals. But, other than that, I don't want to learn how to do that. I know that sounds kind of arrogant, but that's that part where we were talking about earlier where it's not so much fun anymore. Like, I don't enjoy that aspect to a point. So he always handled that side
I
of it as
mean,
well.
I just want to point out, I fucking hate mixing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, by virtue of sheer necessity, I've learned the basics of how to not sound like absolute trash because, like, a de-esser is a powerful thing. And,
Yeah.
like, you gotta know a little one, too, but I don't know why everyone's obsessed with trying to do everything. That's one of the most baffling things to me. Like, I know a lot of people who, like, kind of also might feel like it sounds arrogant or something, but I'm like, nah, I know I don't want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I know
Like,
I need to know enough to talk to engineers so they know I know enough to talk to them.
yeah, like my guy I use over in Enigmatic, man, my dude Hermian, he showed me a few tips and stuff because when I told him first, when he started, engineering my stuff, I was like, man, I know enough. Like, I know enough I can send you when I send you the stuff. They're all, titled right. They'll be in the right places where you need stuff like that. But like, I don't, I'll take your tips and stuff, but like, I don't want to learn that. It's not fun to me, at that point, like, because it's taking away from what I'm trying to do, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
On the other hand, I do think that if you're going to take this route, you then requires you homies who know how to do this shit, and that is
Oh
gonna
yeah.
require you money, time, relation, something. You gonna pay
Oh
in
yeah.
some way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You got to pay to play, but when you build that's the thing. Like I like when my dudes over at Enigmatic, Aaron, and all them guys, man. I found a bunch of dudes who have the same vision, that uh, we all do. It's like, yes, everybody needs to do their own thing and kind of do their own thing, but everybody come together and like and network, and not even just with those guys, but like stuff I'm doing outside of that. If we all support each other, there's no reason why we all can't make enough noise. I'm not saying we'll all get rich. I mean, obviously that's the goal and stuff, but at the end of the day, man, if this is really the route you go and doing music stuff, if we just support each other, that makes enough noise to make other people pay attention. And
Maybe we all need to just change the goalpost. I think a lot of people know what I mean. It because if you listen to everything you're saying, I think everybody agrees until we get to the get rich part. I don't know if I care about getting rich. I want to make what I make off of art.
yeah,
That's enough,
yeah,
bro. If I made what I made off of art, holy shit, yo, you couldn't touch me. You couldn't touch my ego in a sense because it would be too like I achieved everything just
yeah,
making what I
and
make
that's the
off of
thing,
art.
man. I'm not saying I want to be broke by any means, but I'd like to be wealthy enough, to keep doing what I love. Not, I mean, I'm not
Right.
above working a 9 to 5 and then going to hit a show that night and going to the job the next morning, to a point until you get there. But like everybody wants to get to that grind where it's like, all right, do
That
I
is
want
the
to go to
job.
work today?
I,
Like,
I want that to
you
be the
know,
job. I want the
yeah,
show plus the podcast, but I want this to be the job. And
yeah,
then maybe the company makes a lot of money, but that's all going to people. But that's the thing is like realistically, I feel like it's possible for a lot of people to make 50K and it might be hard for anybody to get rich. And that's how I see the future of this music game going. But yo, like it's actually kind of getting easier to make like a low end, mid end salary off of music if you do
yeah.
it right.
hmm And it's all about marketing and getting it to the right places to get the numbers. It's like because right now, the music's so weird. Like no, it used to be nobody was making money off the streams and sales. Everybody was doing shows. And now, since shows with the COVID and everything else, now you've seen the script flip a little bit, and the online shows and different variations of these people, musicians having to do improvise, so music's crazy. There's so many different lanes that you can make the money off of. You've just got to grind for one, obviously, and then find those lanes and see what works and try to use it.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Like, I mean, I'm of the mind that everybody in music's an influencer and should study what 18-year-olds on Instagram do a little bit because they learn how to make money on the internet. Forget how you feel about them. They know how to make money on the internet.
It's
That is
crazy.
interesting to me.
Crazy. hmm
And like honestly, like yo, Jake Paul just dropped a diss song against the fucking Dana White guy. And as much as Jake Paul, I don't want to call him a good rapper, it wasn't trash. It was pretty like, yo, Jake Paul went in. And the fact that an influencer could make a song where people would be like, yo, he went in. That's the world we're in right now.
I mean, look, I hate to say it, but like those dudes, those the Island Boys, man, they, all it takes those one little viral clip, and now all of a sudden,
Didn't they
somebody's
get
getting
like
paid
kicked
and
off their
getting paid
label and
well.
shit?
We know telling, man, but like,
Yes, Willie, you're
hey,
absolutely correct. A YouTube rapper will be able to fuck up a non-rapper and make a lit song. But end of the day, his career is set. And that shit can't be taken away from him. And all we can do is debate how much we respect him. And that's fair. He's a heel. If y'all know wrestling,
yeah,
he's an IRL heel. If you hate him, he wins, and if you love him, he wins. And you
yeah.
can't get around that because evidently that dude understands Vince McMahon's logic a lot, and I'm really impressed by them. The Paul brothers, marketing
They
geniuses.
found that niche, man, and they found a way to do, like you said, make that money. They're not dumb, by any means. Like they might look it to everybody else, but if you look at it like you just said, those dudes are low key genius. They found a way to get paid off their, it started out with their crazy videos on YouTube, and look at them now. Them dudes are making money.
Yo, you gotta just think about it. Like Logan Paul lost $3.5 million to Pokemon cards, and you actually don't see him sweating in that video. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's crazy.
you're just sitting there going, "Wow, it doesn't matter." He's like, "Bro, I just made money on losing $3.5 million."
Crazy. Right.
But
I mean, it's like the Pablo Escobar, man. I don't know if you ever watched that Narcos on Netflix.
mm,
I learned a lot about that guy. You catch one ship, all right, cool, you caught all that, but we had all this shit on the underside that we came back and took later that night after you left. Like, like you said, you lost 3 million, but dude probably made 10 million off that shit. So,
or sees how he's
it's
gonna
what it
make
is.
10 million over the next 12 years based off of a deal
Yeah,
he's gonna close off. That's how these people
yeah.
are. It's super interesting. He calls himself a maverick, but he's kind of low key a maverick. But like, so like you kind of did the rap thing. You hustled the mixtapes. Y'all were like in the early internet era too. Were you like pushing it a little bit from Dat Piff? And what's it like pushing Dat Piff in the beginning of Dat Piff?
It was weird because again, I didn't really know much about that side of it. I just knew like, I think I can't even remember if we were Facebooking or with the MySpace then, but we kind of like tried to do our half-ass promoting, I guess then. Um, the first one we did pushed out some good numbers. Like I don't remember what it was. I know at one point it was over like so many like 1,000 streams and a couple hundred downloads, but it I still, like I said, I don't really know that side of it as far as utilizing that point of it because I didn't really know anything about using that. I know that sounds weird, but like using Facebook or MySpace to promote shit. Like I did, at that time it was still kind of that weird era. Like you had the SoundCloud guys, and we had a few songs we uploaded to SoundCloud and stuff like that. But looking back at it, we never really pushed those a whole lot.
It's not that weird to me. Like I was on like the early Facebook. I don't think any of us was really sitting there going, "Oh, this is the." I mean, some of us were. Most of us were not sitting there going, "Oh, this is the marketing tool to change my life." Like, I was like,
Yeah.
"Is she single?" Like, that was Facebook.
Oh shit.
But
That's fucking great.
so like after your stuff falls apart, I guess with the group, you did your
Yeah.
couple of shows. What kind of happens after that for you?
So at that point, I was like in the midst of having kids and doing that whole phase of the life, moving into that. So I really kind of focused solely more on that, and like still was kind of writing and still talking to people and doing music stuff to a point, but not really like recording. Not really sure what I was gonna do. Like I still knew I wanted to do music, but wasn't sure how. Like I had always went to his studios, always did stuff with him. Like I watched enough to know how to record myself, but like wasn't even sure how to start that route.
Mm.
I did one. I'll call it a mixtape, as Two Face. That was mostly my stuff, and then he had helped me a little bit with, at the tail end of that. Um, and then that was kind of the last thing I did up until, what, 2 years ago, however long yeah, it's been about 2 years when I first started doing the obsolete stuff.
So what made the obsolete stuff come back to life?
So, like I said, I made that mixtape. Life kind of happened. Things, got me to a point. My fiance that I'm with now, I met her. What's crazy is I had met her in Job Corps right about the time I had first started heavily doing
I
music.
What is Job Corp?
So Job Corps is basically like a trade school, but not, if that makes sense. Like you go, so it's an option for people up until you're 25, but if there's people that like teenagers, if they get in certain type of trouble and shit like that, they can opt to go to that instead of going to juvenile detention and stuff like that. So it's kind of a combination of the two. I went for security, which was pretty much, long story short, it was a waste of 6 months as far as the education wise, but I had a blast and did a whole lot of stuff up there. Like, really kind of did some music at that time with those guys, like, that I'd met up there, and I actually still talk to a few of them to this day. But that was back in 2009. That was when I first met my fiance, Becky. So fast forward to 2018, her and I started talking, got together. Few months down the line, her and I kind of got on one of those come to Jesus deep conversation, type things about me and my music and all that stuff. And, she was like, babe, you're good at it for one. She's like, but I know how happy it makes you. She's like, you need to figure out that happy medium if you're just, if you want to do it or not. And I told her, I was like, well, if I do it, I'm no, no pun intended, I'm going all in. Like, I want to rebrand, I want to start from square one, and I want to do it my way. I don't care if it takes me 5 fucking years, to get to XYZ. I want to do it my way this time. And, her and I kind of talked back and forth and tossed it around for a little bit, and then, I decided, well, fuck it. I got no other reason not to. It's like everything in life that had happened up to that point and, still had happened, kind of kept pushing me that way, if that makes sense. Like, just little things in life where you're like, oh, all right, I thought I had this planned, and life was like, haha, you're going to go this way, bud. So everything just kind of kept pushing, like, dude, you've got no reason. Just, put your time, put your effort into it, and take it seriously. And, like I said, never wanted to be the face you see walking down the red carpet or, all that shit. But it's what I love to do. And it's also, I know if I continue to believe in myself and find, my, I don't want to say talents, but like those little things that I can do with my music, it gives me that option to do something actually with it. So that was pretty much kind of how that started. And after a couple of days, Obsouleet, I came up with that simply because, as I told you, that's how I felt most of my life, honestly. Like, the literal definition of obsolete, that's kind of what I felt like. I was just kind of that person there, it's like, I, fake the smiles and the ha-has and, but just kind of floating through life. And you talked about wrestling earlier, man. Back when Matt and Jeff Hardy were in TNA and did the broken Matt and Brother Nero or whatever it was, that was kind of the obsolete. That was always in the back of my head. I'm a big fan of, wrestling, so I kind of decided I wanted to go with that and then to spell it different. I came up with a few other names and wasn't really liking any of those, and I was like, fuck it, let me see how I can freak this, and came up with how I spell it now, and that's kind of where it all started.
That's dope. I fucks with Jeff Hardy heavy. I'm not gonna lie. I watched the WWE. Okay, I don't have the craziest relationship with wrestling. It wasn't like I'm some kid that watched it, but in 2007, when I was in Quebec college, we have this thing between high school and everyone else college called Cégep. It's just 2 years or 3 years, and it's 17 to like 20ish. It's awesome.
Okay.
It's everything you all want because you don't have to try. You get high marks, and you can basically do what you want otherwise, and it's amazing. I'm not gonna lie. But we used to just like smoke a bunch of herbs and like go watch wrestling pay-per-views and shit. So it became like super social for me. But yo, I was all for Jeff Hardy, bro. It was when Jeff Hardy won his first heavyweight championship on SmackDown. That was it. He left to TNA not long after that, some drug policy shit or whatever. And basically, I mean, he was high a lot, but like that run of Jeff Hardy from 2000 and 2008 was it. That's all I gave a shit about was Jeff Hardy, and everything else in wrestling was less interesting, except for Metalingus's fucking that one song, the Edge theme song.
That's funny as shit. Yeah, see, that's always been like a huge, I guess, I've always loved wrestling. Like, even when I was a kid, I always used to watch it a lot. And then, the older I got, I used to tell people it's like a male soap opera. Like, I'd quit watching it for a while, but then you get drawn back in because you got those same guys that you used to like. And, like you said, Jeff Hardy was always one of those for me. And then when I saw what they were doing in TNA, like, you couldn't help but watch. Like, it was just so oddly interesting. But yeah, that was kind of, I drew a lot of inspiration from that.
That's fire. The more I delve into hip hop culture, the more there are a lot of parallels between wrestling and hip hop, and the more that battle rap takes on a lot of what wrestling does, the more battle rap is succeeding really successfully. Like, they've really co-opted the 2-minute promos, the slots, the runs. They really understand the theater of it, and that's always been something that's dope to me about wrestling. Like, once you get, because you're either gonna be like mad that it's fake, or you're gonna see how athletic and how much of a drama it is. And like, I went to an indie wrestling show, one of them. You can't experience that from a video. It's actually like, yo, go to an indie wrestling show. It's fucking insanity to watch these dudes throw each other around and shit in real life. Really dope. Like,
yeah, it's nuts, man.
But like, I have a question on this. What are your thoughts on the current state of shit with AEW? Are you in a happy place with the current world of wrestling?
Honestly, I'm glad with what AEW is doing, just simply because I know a lot of people, like, I guess there's where that fan of wrestling for as long as I have been, like, I see kind of what they're trying to do, and I see why people don't understand or appreciate it. But I definitely see those dudes building a solid foundation just for, what they're trying to do. As far as, I know they don't say they're competing, but like, everybody knows it's WWE, and then that's it. You got the TNAs and the GCWs and the New Japans and stuff. But like, WWE is that flag or whatever you want to call it, and AEW is doing a damn good job from where they started anyway.
Yeah, AEW is kind of like every person I know that fucks with wrestling gives that nod to AEW, and they give the nods to the little guys, and they play that community game a la Max, and they're like willing to rent out their people to any federation really, and it's hugely successful. I'm
It's
telling
insane.
y'all, if you are a rapper, go look at how wrestling does some shit. You will absolutely gain some marketing game.
Dude, I told a guy at one of the shows actually, like, and I know that's kind of a different spectrum, but still the same thing. Like, that's how I treat this when I'm doing this stuff with music. Like, I try to, right now, I'm branching out, semi close to do these shows just because it's within my comfort zone and I know I can, line them up appropriately. But, like, when I get to that point, if I get a show in, middle of nowhere, wherever it might be, if I got to load the car up and ride out and sleep in the car for 2 days after the show, and drive 24 hours to make it back in time for the job, like, that's what those dudes, do and still do to this day, like, cutting their teeth trying to make it, to where they want to be. Like, that's part of the grind, man. Eating can of SpaghettiOs in the back seat because you ain't got a microwave. You're waiting until y'all get to the next town and you hope you make a couple bucks to get the hotel room. Like, that's something I'd always seen, like, with the wrestling thing. So I kind of took to that as far as doing this music stuff. Like, by any means necessary, man. I love that motto. It's just, how bad do you want it? And them dudes, the guys you see that succeed, those are those dudes that were doing just that, like, grinding it the fuck out.
Yeah, I wasn't even going there with it, but you took it in like it just made everything I said about wrestling even bigger, and I love that you did that because like I wasn't expecting that side of it, but you're right. Go watch any wrestling biopic. These motherfuckers suffered. But yo, just the characterization of it. Like if you look at a successful hip hop place when it's thriving, there are faces and heels combating in public via media. That is kind
Yep.
of why drill pops off. I know we don't want to support things public, whatever, and I'm not trying to promote the violence, but it's kind of just wrestling to like everyone watching it. And honestly,
Yeah.
the way a lot of people watch it, they treat it like wrestling, regardless of what the content is. Like yo, you just gotta watch what's his name, fucking Trap Lord Ross. His entire fucking YouTube channel is based on documenting and kind of turning drill beefs into like wrestling. In a sense, it's pretty wild. Not in a positive way to me, but in an interesting marketing way to see the
Right.
parallels between all of the shit and why people like it. Still, wrestling is a powerful source for it, and that's dope that you're able to. Because I mean, even yourself, you drew inspiration from how. Which wrestlers inspired you in particular?
As a kid, Sting was like my diehard. That was my favorite wrestler as far back as I remember. Um, then the Jeff Hardys and the Rey Mysterios came along.
Oh shit,
Um,
Rey Mysterio's dope.
Dude, Rey Mysterio was super dope, man. And that, like, I was always drawn to those guys, the Eddie Guerreros, the Chris Benoits, the guys that weren't necessarily the big dudes, but, going out there and, being the the Stone Colds, dude, like, Stone Cold still to this day, if you played that music, that glass shattering, just like, you can't help but get chills down your spine. If you're a wrestling fan, like, everybody knows, The Rock, that's another one. That dude, it grabs the microphone, you couldn't help but sit there and listen. It's like,
That's super cool. Um, so why? So let me rephrase that. So Obsolete comes through. What is like the main inspiration for you in terms of the brand beyond the idea of just being obsolete? Like, who are you kind of drawing inspiration from at this point?
like I said, a lot of that was, the Jeff Hardy and stuff, and then really I kind of wanted to incorporate the two of like as how I wanted to be as an artist with what type of music I wanted to do,
Yeah.
but creating like not necessarily a persona, but I'm an awkward ass person, man. I tell everybody, like when I go to these shows and shit, it takes me a minute to, open up and kind of, feel the room and stuff. But like when I do music, that's kind of that, persona, that alter ego. So I kind of wanted to find a way to blend the two and create not necessarily this own character, but within the two, kind of form that bond. And the heavy influence from that was really, where most of it came from. And then obviously all the music that I was listening to at the time, big, Tech Nines, the Ritzes, the, stuff like that. So where I was at then at that point, trying to combine the two and still figure out who I was going to be, because I still didn't even know what I wanted to do music wise. I just knew I wanted to do it my way, and I still even didn't have a clue how the hell that way was going to be.
And so, how did you go about getting beats and stuff?
So honestly, at first, I had a dude who I had gotten a few beats from years ago. So I'd gotten a couple beats from him. Um, One of the first ones I did was Get Famous, which is one of the ones that's has the best numbers on my YouTube. I still don't understand. That was like the first song I recorded as Obsolete that I had, released. And that all started from a buddy of mine that I did a song with years back. Sent me an idea for a song he had wanted me to do with him. And then later on, it hit me up, and he's like, "Man, I kind of, fell out of doing music." He's like, "But I want you to take this idea and run with it." So I took it and made it my own, and had dropped that. I was like, "That's the go-to," as Obsolete. I've been working on that for a long time anyway, so it was kind of ready to go. So I fired that off, and then I had been writing the My Story, which was the next one that I released, which was really just kind of a, you know, like I said before, I don't like talking about who I am and all of my, stuff that's gotten me to where I am. But that was really my, goal with this music, doing it now. I wanted to be more open and talk about that shit, because that's who I am. I can't say music is what I do without fully exposing and letting those raw emotions become a part of my music. So my story was like that. opening the door to letting out some of that and kind of giving people, painting that picture as to who I am and what I'm going to be doing with my music.
I really I appreciate that. I mean, I like the way that you've almost taken on a persona in a more obvious way. I feel like most of us take on personas with music and like we all claim authenticity, but like literally we're all just projecting fantasies of our best selves into our music or our worst selves or our fantasy character, this, that, whatever. However you want to take it, but like,
Right.
yo, the second the camera's on, we all behave different. Let's be real. Second the mic's on, we all behave different. Let's be real.
Yep, that's facts.
Like, not like you're gonna be a different person, but like right now, there's certain words we can't say because we're live. It's just the facts of the live environment. There's little censorship norms that just kick in, type thing. You also know everything you say, etc. You know, it's all recorded. So
Right.
this will alter us. Versus off cam, everybody's hair gets let down, type thing. We like, yeah, let's have the real chat
Yeah.
now. Um, so like, are you recording at home when you start doing this, or do you have access to a studio that you're using?
Started as an obsolete. I went to a studio down in Missouri at one point, and went and did
Is
one other
Missouri
song.
far from you?
Where we were living at the time was about 6.5 hours from where I live now.
Hold up. Did you just say you had to go 6.5 hours to the studio?
No, 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 no. We were living in Missouri at that time. When I first started
Okay,
doing
okay.
music, we were down in Missouri when I first started doing music down there. Um, so I did a studio down there once. Didn't really like, no disrespect to those guys, but it just wasn't, you know, I knew what I could do at home, and I knew enough people that could give me what I was looking for if I just, kind of got all the stuff that I needed to do it. Um, so I kind of got a few things and started to set up a little bit, and then once again the life happened, and we wound up back in Kentucky. So I took kind of everything that I still had and pieced everything back together, and then that was really when I started hardcore releasing stuff. I want to say it was Get Famous, My Story, and Why. I released all of those in Missouri. And then I think I'm Not You was like the first track that I did when I moved back to Kentucky. And I was still doing all of those by myself.
At this point, are you doing like just you're focusing on singles, or I don't know if
So
you have
right now,
mixtapes or projects out there that I didn't see.
I actually have an album coming. I'm getting the physical copies on the 18th of February, and then it'll be live on all streaming services on the 11th of March. I'm gonna have a couple weeks try and push these physical copies. I'm old school, man. I love something about having a CD. So that was one thing I wanted to do when I finally got enough material together, was put an album together and actually get it pressed up and stuff. So I'm dropping that album. I'll have the physical copies, like I said, on the 18th of February. It's called the Dystopia of an MC.
I like that title. Like, does it like hold through with the concept, or is it like more just a collection of songs?
So I didn't realize how much everything pieced together until I put it all together. Like, if that makes sense. When I recorded Get Famous and My Story and all of those, I didn't intend to do an album at that point. But once I started working on an album, those particular songs, My Story, Me and My Depression, and I can't remember if there's another one, but I actually re-recorded those for the album, got a better quality and stuff on those. But just because they almost had to go on the album, if that makes sense, like with everything else that I was doing with it. But I didn't even have a title for the album. I had like 7 or 8 tracks done, and I still didn't even know what the album was going to be. And I was actually watching that show Heels, man, and I heard dude said something about his something something dystopia. And I was like, man, that's a cool ass word. What does that mean? I looked it up, see what it meant, and I was like, okay, that's kind of dope, and kind of again put my own spin on shit. I'm like, man, this music is exactly that. It's my dystopia, man. All of this is how I got here and became an artist. Like, and then you look at all the songs, and it's exactly that. Like, I don't want to say it's track one starts this, and by the end of the album you just read a book type story, but it all pieces together well, in my opinion. I think, and everybody else will kind of get that same vibe from it.
Yeah, I appreciate the consideration. Did you put a lot of time into thinking about track sequencing?
Oh yeah, I sat over here, and honestly, my fiance helped me with that. Man, there was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 different ways I thought I was going to do it, because I put all my tracks down, I wrote them down, and I had them sitting beside me, and I was like, all right, this should go here, this should go here, this should go here, and I was like, babe, what do you think? And she's like, well, I think you should swap these and then move this here. So then I tweak that, and I was like, well, okay, I kind of like that, but now doing that, this might need to go here. And then finally, when it all kind of came together, her and I both were like, I think that's good. I'm a weird person with numbers, so like I wanted my album to be 11 songs. 11 is a real weird number for me, like, and always has been. So that was kind of a thing I wanted to do with the album. And then, I wound up deciding to put Get Famous on there as a bonus track, just simply because it does so well on YouTube. But yeah, when I pieced it together, it was, exactly that. It was almost like that's how it should have been from the beginning. So I think, like I said, when everybody hears it and sees it, they'll kind of get that same vibe.
That's super dope. I think it's interesting that you put so much thought into that. And I say that because recently I talked to a DJ in Montreal, big name guy, like a lot of respect and love. So this is a no disrespect statement. But what he said to me that struck with me was how, from his perception, and he acknowledged that this is from his perception as a DJ, but from his perception, nobody's doing this anymore. Like nobody cares about albums or sequencing. And I'm like, what? Like every artist I know cares about this. Like I really think all the artists care about this, and then stuff gets in the way that maybe keeps us from achieving the visions, or maybe if you're in the big leagues, it's a different game. But I don't know. Everybody be dropping well thought out conceptual albums if you're looking for it. I'm sure Willie Scandals, if he's here, he gets a whole bunch of albums sent to him, and he can like attest to that. But like, that sounds like a more delightful experience to go through when you consider stuff from album review land, because stories and progression make an album mad interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's my big thing, man. I try to, you know, I, not necessarily. I don't want to say take it serious and stuff like that, but to me, like I said, it's what I like doing, and that stuff. That's that weird, fun stuff to me. Like, and I know, as weird as that might sound to a lot of people, I really enjoyed sitting there for a few hours, and jotting down those track lists and trying to establish one into the other, because to me, when I think of good albums, that's what I think about. Like, it starts on track one, and by the time you get done, it's like you just went on a journey. They don't necessarily all have to tie in, but you kind of felt like you understood that artist a little better by the time it was all said and done.
Yeah, or at least understood the journey. And
Yeah.
sometimes the journey is emotional. Sometimes it's more like really direct storytelling, concept album stuff. But like I
Yep.
find that like a really good album starts in a place that brings you in, and then by the end of it you're left with a sense of that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I did mine. Like, the beginning of my album is the more raw, like, I don't want to say emotional, but like the more, lets you understand who I am. And then you get about halfway through, and that's when it kind of starts, those tracks 4, 5, and 6 kind of blend in, getting to where I guess I am now as an artist. Not necessarily that, I make different music, but how, the confidence that I'm starting to gain, the realization of, believing in myself, man. Like, even starting this and doing it as Obsolete, it took me a long time to get, and I still battle with that, believing that, I need to keep doing this, because I mean, and like every other, guy sitting where I'm at doing what we're doing, it's not easy, man. Like, there's nights where you're like, fuck, do I really want to go put 2 hours into the studio? I just worked 12 hours at the job, and, this, that, and the other. And, and when you're grinding, 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 and not seeing the streams and not seeing, it's hard, man. But at the end of the day, when it's what you love
I'll
to
be real
do,
with you. My girlfriend would agree with you, and I would pretend like that's not exactly what it is, but I know for a fact she would agree with you.
yeah, it's hard, man. And it's like, but at the end of the day, my whole life's been told no. So it's like, everybody can tell me no. What happens if I tell myself yes? It's like, and that's kind of where
Mm.
I'm at with it now. It's like, I'm gonna do it. Everybody can hate it, they can love it. Either way, I'm still gonna do it. You know, and it's like, and you can't say I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm the best rapper you've ever heard or got the best voice you ever heard or none of that. But I'm better than some people I've heard, and that's good enough for me. Like, you know, I know that sounds stupid, but you know, I'm decent at what I do, and I know if I tap into certain things, like there's that potential, you know, and it starts with that
Why do you
believing.
think that sounds stupid?
Well, because to a lot of people, like especially people that don't do music, like you know I said that to somebody, and they're like, "Man, I just don't get it," and it's like, well, you know, that confidence, like you hear it when people record. I know that, you know, again, I tell somebody that makes music, oh, you know, I can tell that dude recorded that reading it off the paper. You know, but you tell somebody that don't know music, they're like, oh, well, you know, that sounds stupid. Like, you know, but that's to me, I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people, some of the shit I say, because I think I take a different approach to a lot of the stuff that I do with this music, you know. And to some people they give me that look and I'm just like, man, you ain't gotta understand it. You know, it's like it is what it is.
I think it's super interesting. I was listening to your music and I heard you say some stuff to that effect, believe it or not. I'm pretty sure everything he just said you can actually find in his bars, almost verbatim. Down to the you might think it's weird. I'm pretty sure that even might be somewhere.
Hey, I'm a weird person, man. I admit it. You know.
Um, Arguably, the way the world is structured, a lot of people actually accidentally end up doing the same thing. So I know for a fact
Yeah.
you fit into a lane. I know nobody wants to hear that, but like it's actually kind of dope that like you do because like being all like outside the realms of norms, it's getting harder. Like I think
Yeah.
that's the thing. A lot of artists are like, "Yo, there's you and me having this conversation." Simultaneously, there's probably 10,000 live rapper interviews happening,
Yeah.
and in
That's
the realms
crazy.
of that, there's probably clones of both of us doing pretty much the exact same thing in all avenues of life. And I feel like as artists, that's the hardest part to accept. Like this was the biggest thing. It took me almost 33 years of my life and then it hit. I'm really not that special. I just done it long enough that's the special part. I actually did it for a long time.
Yeah.
Everything else is kind of irrelevant. I have the capacity to
Yeah.
do this for the next 10 years and that
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. But special, man, there's so many people that do special shit. It's almost like being special is not special in 2022.
You know, you're absolutely right.
What I do have to say is I saw you do the TikToks. How did you decide to get into the TikTok?
So, like you saw where I uploaded, you know, some of that live footage, like I wanted to find a way to still incorporate it, but, you know, make better visuals, I guess, to a point. And again, I'm no, you know, engineer, camera editor guy. Like I can't do that, but I know enough to, you know, use what I've got and see what I can come up with. So, you know, my fiance, she goes all to the shows and stuff, and she gets the live footage for me. So I always have all those. And then I was like, man, 86 is just one of those tracks, you know, a lot of people kind of respond to it. And I really enjoyed that particular performance that I did that TikTok to. So I wanted to find a way to, you know, make a decent video with it. So I sat here and, you know, slapped it all together with the TikTok filter and kind of pieced it together and then pulled it over to my computer so I could line it up with the audio and stuff. So it all kind of matched out. And if you watch it close enough, you can almost see it's like a half a second off, but I almost got it to the point where like, you know, the audio matches up with the video and stuff and then and uploaded it that way. Cause I know TikTok's a big thing right now. Like that's everybody's using fucking TikTok.
Yo, I respect that so much, dude. That is fucking hard. Cause
Yeah,
yo,
it's hard.
when no, what I mean is like, let's be real. Once you get into the TikTok editor, you're a video editor in your mind.
Yeah,
You go
yeah, that's
from it's like this transformation happens. You go from fucking TikTok to I can do anything on TikTok. And that happens basically the second you open it up and go, this is the best user interface for a video editor I've ever encountered in my life. I feel brave.
it's crazy what you can do with that app, dude. Like some of those, you know, effects and shit. I'm like, man, like, how do they? I don't even want to know, but how do they do that? Like, it's super dope, man.
That's what the AI stuff does. It just does
I'm
this
telling you.
powerful, like real time machine learning. And I'm saying like photo editors and shit now do heavy machine learning. That's why like a lot of cheap photo editors are really good now, and Adobe's sweating a little bit. Like Adobe
Yeah.
wins on ecosystem, not really app necessity, because you can really work around a lot of these apps for a lot less money, just because the tech behind it is so AI driven.
Yeah. And like you see a lot of people that were doing like the thriller videos and stuff like that. Like you just I'm trying to learn how to utilize what I got. I'm not trying to get, professional at putting videos together and stuff like, but I know I have stuff and there's got to be different ways to show it and, utilize it. So that's kind of where that comes in, like just learning enough to kind of use these to my advantage.
I think that's dope. Do people respond well to that video when you put it up?
It did all right. I think I posted part of it on a reel on my Facebook, and it got like 3,000 views or something like that on the Facebook page. I can't remember what it did on TikTok, but like every time I upload, there's a couple different ones I've done. I did them for a buddy of mine that him and I did a song together. I just threw the album art up and like threw some trippy effects on it and stuff like that. Like I think people appreciate it more because it's that same thing. Like everybody wants music videos, so it gives you something to kind of look at that's cool, even though it might not be a video per se, but it's giving you something to catch your eye. So that was kind of really the sole purpose of doing it, just giving a visual to the music.
No, it makes a lot of sense. It's like TikTok was already a huge thing 5 years ago. When are we gonna stop considering it a hot topic? Fair question. I'm forcing it down people's throats because I don't want to TikTok by myself, so I bring it up a whole bunch low key. That's a huge part of it. But also, it's different now. What changed is that corporations are like actually getting into TikTok in the way that they moved into Facebook. So the fact isn't that TikTok's a hot topic, it's that TikTok is so mainstream, it's the mainstream. That's kind of
Yeah,
hot topic. It's not like TikTok's hot like the way it was on the emergence post musically merging
yeah,
with whatever that other company was. Nah, it's actually like a flex. Like we're talking at my day job, and I cannot go into detail about how we can use TikTok in professional capacities in ways that are like, nah, this is a hot topic to be real. Like it is. I just can't go into super detail right now. Well, I mean, it's a hot topic to me. If you're a geek in the way I am for these kinds of things, it might not be a hot topic to the rest of the world, but if you're
right.
in a sphere of my world, you're going to hear a lot of social media marketing because that's my profession.
See, and like that's what got me into TikTok to begin with, because a guy I talked to that was kind of a promoter, like kind of one of those guys that did a little bit of all of that. He was like, man, he's like, I know it's gonna sound crazy, because you're a little bit older and stuff, but TikTok's where it's at, man. He's like, TikTok and Instagram are your best routes, like as far as algorithms and all that stuff go. Like those are the ways to go. And he's like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, TikTok, and I finally broke down, and started using it, and I see it because you start seeing the numbers. You're like, man, I've got 90 people following me, but this video I uploaded hit 450 views. It's like, oh, that's what's up. So exactly like you said, it's a crazy marketing tool that if used properly, you can make some good money with TikTok and stuff like that.
Yeah, I only started using it, I think, like properly, like I committed in like December. So, like,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
now
still
this
not committed.
obsession in my mind. I tried to maintain 3 posts a day. That is fucking hard. Like, really, you got to actually take like a 5 hours of your life to like get that 3 posts a day, like every week. TikTok's like
Yeah,
crazy big. But then I started watching Budman, this random ass rapper guy, and he makes 1 minute music videos on TikTok, and they're fucking fire. And he has like
no,
500,000 followers and shit. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to ignore the TikTok rapper with 500,000 followers. And he's not really my cup of tea, but I love his video editing. It's really fun to
right.
watch. I never cared about any of that before TikTok. I was like zero shits about video editing before TikTok.
No shit.
Eh, I don't know. It's more fun now. TikTok makes it
Right.
easy for me.
There you
Um,
go.
What kind of like marketing campaigns do you think of for yourself? If you're into the wrestling sphere and you've created a persona for yourself, do you have like these bigger scale, like if you had the budget ideas you would run with?
If I had the budget, I mean, I'd like create crazy ads, for different platforms just to, like the Masked Wolf. The first time I came across that dude last year, I literally heard his music because it played while I was playing YouTube at work one day. It played as an ad, and I was in the middle of working, not realizing, oh, that was an ad playing. I'm like, what is that playing? I don't think I've ever heard this. Why is it? And I was like, oh, this is an ad. Oh, that's low key genius. Like, just throw a whole ad in there. I mean, a lot of people watch YouTube, while they're doing stuff or whatever, so just stuff like that. But, as far as like logic wise, me, again, that old school mentality, man, I'm the go put boots on the ground and go staple up flyers and slap stickers around and go hit up shows and venues and, stuff like that. I feel
Nice.
like there's more of a I feel like it's more personal that way. You know what I mean? Like in a sense.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I was just talking to somebody from New York who was like, bro, before the internet, that was networking. It was. You
Yeah.
had to leave your house. It's super
Yeah.
baffling to me. My whole life is don't leave the house. Actually, I have to like the opposite. I have to like force myself. Like, I could make more money if I never left the house, which is fucking creepy. And it's something I
Yeah.
actually try to like not indulge as much as I live life. But yeah, I guess there's still a huge thing for that too. I mean, also like maybe geography plays into it. Like, do you find where you're at there's like a thriving live community like for music where you can just be like go out and be integrated into it?
I think it's come back around, man. Like, like I said, I used to do this, years ago when it was kind of weird, like the music scene was still kind of weird around here and stuff. But now, I didn't realize up until last year, it's a lot of, that same thing we talked about earlier, people trying to come together and build like a community, and try to, push each other and just genuinely make good music that, it, I don't know. I guess it went from everybody, oh, I can't work with them, I gotta outshine them, or I can't do this, because I gotta do my thing. And now everybody's like, oh, if you and you come together, we can get this venue, and we can, rent out and do a show, and now we can bring, so and so along, and now we can, do this and do that. Like it's kind of flipped over, on its head completely from what it used to be when I first started doing music, as opposed to what it is now. So I
Yo,
think that's
everybody
why.
listen to what that man just said though. I don't know if you heard it, but every music scene out there that be feeling away, listen to what he said. Yo, we link up and we pool resources. We can make bigger moves and collectivize.
I'm telling you.
That's actually really fresh. And this is Kentucky, right? Like the
Yes, sir.
local Kentucky scene. I mean, it's just
Yes,
again,
sir.
I never think about it, right? Like I'm never going there. So what is like the sound of Kentucky?
It's funny. I talk about that all the time, man. And you know, I go ahead and say trigger warning. I might hurt some people's feelings saying this, the way I do, but like there for a while we had the Nappy Roots, years ago. That was like the big thing we had. Nappy Roots was kind of killing the scene. And then really, as far as I know, like mainstream wise, I think we've got Jack Harlow and I think we've got, Bryson Tiller. Both
Jack
those
Harlow
artists.
comes from Kentucky?
Yeah. He's from Louisville if I'm not mistaken. Um
Hold on,
but
is it
him
Louisville? How do you say it? How do you say it right?
Louisville. Louisville.
Louisville.
Yes, sir. There you
Fuck
go.
me. I've been saying it like Louisville or Louisville my whole life.
Normally everybody does. But yeah, I think he's from Louisville, and I think Bryson Tiller might be from Lexington. I'm not sure, but not knocking those guys and what they do or none of that. But I don't think either one of those guys really match, I guess, what I think Kentucky sounds like. And to me, it is that nappy roots, raw, rugged. We're a little country, we're a little rock and roll, we're a little hood, we're a little, Kentucky's like a big,
It's like Yellow
melting
Wolf.
pot aspect. Like, oh yeah, like Yellow Wolf's from right outside of Antioch, which is right down there by Nashville, about an hour and a half outside of where I'm at.
So it's
just like
kind of
Jelly
like the
Roll.
whole of like Tennessee, Alabama. Like y'all kind of like end up in the same core sound just due to because when I'm looking at the map, like relatively speaking, they're smaller geographic. Like you could drive across them in a couple hours type thing. I think I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I'm overstretching that. So like it really is just like one kind of. Do you find there's like I guess like differences between the different states in that area, or is it more like homogenized?
I think it's just different, like depending on where it is. But everybody I've noticed, like especially with the South, it's got depending on where you're at, it's got its own unique sound. Yes, but it's got this. Especially where I'm at, like Nashville and all that area has been really known for country, for years. Like that was the country music, mecca, so to speak. But now it's again kind of like flipped on its axis and become this hip hop, bluegrass, soul. Like a lot of it's, you're hearing a lot more of these Yellow Wolves and these Jelly Rolls and stuff because that's really all kind of what everybody around here grew up on was vibes like that with mixed in with the hip hop and the rock and roll and stuff like that. So
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I knew Yellow set up shop in Nashville at a certain point, which got me excited because my aunt's out there. But I guess he had a huge impact then, and that is a city that produces music machine superstars. It knows how to do it. It's got the industry, and then at a certain point, they're like, "Yo, there's hip hop money. Let's get it." And
yeah,
there is this crazy amount of people that came in that lane. I know of a few of them, but mostly because of Yellow Wolf. I don't know. He's like the
yeah,
ambassador to me to the entire movement. Like to me, he'd be like the only guy that would have ever introduced me to any of these people. Maybe Bubba
and
Sparks,
see,
but I don't know if he's relevant anymore.
Jelly Roll, like for me, I knew a lot about Jelly Roll like back when he was doing the the Welcome to the Trap House and the 10-minute freestyles and stuff. And he's from Nashville and never really got a whole lot of love. And I remember reading an article last year about how they never wanted to let him perform at the Ryman Auditorium, which is like the huge venue in Nashville. And then they finally let him do it last year, and he sold it out in like 45 minutes. So it just tells you how music, the atmosphere has changed down that direction with music. Like I said, it's crazy to me because there weren't a whole lot of shows opportunities back when I was doing music. As Two Face down in the Nashvilles and down in that area, we were more. You had them a lot around here. Like you'd go up north a little bit, but now it's like that's where everybody's trying to go. The Nashvilles and stuff like that.
So you're basically geographically set up to create like an ecosystem of live performances in this like Nashville area.
Oh yeah, I've done a few in Nashville last year, Clarksville, which is in between me and Nashville, and then I go up to Louisville. I've done a few up there. Right now, I'm trying to work out ones up in Lexington, which is on the other side of Kentucky, and then just work this whole area where I'm at, and then slowly expand out from there. Because, like you said, for the most part, where I sit, everything is within a few hours reach, depending on where I want to go and how I want to do it. So, utilizing those, to my advantage.
Yeah, fucks with that heavy. And that's super interesting. Like I guess like I said at the beginning of this, I never fucking think of Kentucky. I know about the chicken joint because PFK. I know that might sound strange to you, but PFK, Poulet Frit Kentucky. C'est en français ici au Québec. That shit be all over. It's not really my favorite no more. They got expensive, but like, actually, eating American KFC is like a real bucket list thing for me because I don't think I've ever had American KFC.
Bro.
Like, but other than that, like, yeah, the states kind of turns into like the 10 states you give a shit about, and then there's the other states you almost go, oh yeah, when you hear their name. But
Yeah.
like to think about the geographical powerhouse of the touring potential of where you're at, like you're basically set up in a place where if you want it, you really can just get yourself constantly booked. Do you get paid to
Yeah.
perform or do you have to pay to perform?
Uh, so I'm gonna start getting paid to perform here these next couple shows that I'm doing. I've worked something out with this dude that I'm getting paid to do some shows. Of course, nothing nothing big. Basically, a lot of it's, I'm getting tickets at this rate, and I sell X amount. Everything else outside of that's mine. But I'm making enough money back on it that I can, I guess, sort of justify it to a point. But that's the goal. That's why I'm doing like these openings for these, semi decent sized artists and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, that's not necessarily the biggest way to get money, but I know like that's the funnest thing I love doing, and I know there's also the aspect to get paid, decent to go do shows here and there.
Do you
So
do you find it's translating back to the internet? Like you're doing the IRL stuff. Do you find that this is like moving into, I guess, streams and followers, and do you see that correlation?
to a point, because a lot of these like it's not even necessarily the performing, man, like the networking, just meeting these people at these shows is really panned out as to how like situations now where we're sitting down having a conversation. A lot of these guys that I'm talking to doing different stuff, that is dudes I've met that, I met this guy at a show, and we linked up on Instagram, and then he had some dude that added me, or I might have added him, and because that, to me, again, it comes back to that being more personable, man. You get to put yourself out there in front of these people and kind of show them, because you get online and everybody's sharing their mixtapes or their singles and, stuff like that, which is cool, but there's not that correlation of putting a face with a name, so to speak. But when you go do these shows and you network with these people, now you're building relationships with them, and, in turn, kind of comes back around.
Nah, I agree with you. And like, yo, one of the big reasons I struggled for a big part of my career, was that I only went to shows if I got booked. I know it sounds what it is, but I had a 9 to 5 my whole rap career, and as I got older, it got harder to like fucking go to some shit that started at 11 p.m. and go to work the next day. So I'd have to like do vacation days to like go to shows. That's whatever excuses it may be. But then I heard about Fat Joe, and apparently Fat Joe would always go to everyone's show, even if he hated their music, and he would always roll deep, no matter what. Fat Joe's coming to your shit, and I mean, look at Fat Joe today and his like legacy, right? Like, Fat Joe's like a legend, and it's like you can't take that from him, and he's still in the
Yeah.
game, and he's still a relevant figure in the game. Like people care about him when he speaks,
Yeah.
and that comes from, when you trace it back, this communal attitude that they rolled with, and the support he showed to so many people. And that was big for me. So flipped a lot. I tried to show love to other people after that moment. And so what you're saying about being present, I think it's really important. Like, yeah, I went to some dude's show in November because for like a brief moment, Montreal had music again. And then
Yeah.
it's what it is. And yo, like the people I met there though, it's like, yo, say a word. Like, yo, I politic like a motherfucker. I booked an interview that
Hmm.
night. Like it was like, yo, this is wild. Like it would have taken a lot longer to talk to that many people on social media, to be real with you. It's actually
Yeah.
just a lot more efficient to be in a room full of 200 people.
Yeah. And that's exactly it, man. Like, through, I didn't even do a show, but through going and supporting some other homies of mine at one of the shows last year, a few months down the road, it turned out, a dude reached out to me to come fill the slot, because a couple people bailed on him, and he hadn't even seen me perform at that point. He had just seen me as the guy in the crowd hyping up my homies that I came to watch, and, everybody else that
Say
was
a
there too.
word. That's a big
And,
knowledge nugget. You hear what he just
bro,
said?
like,
He came and hyped up the homies and caught the promoter's attention.
and that's how it is, man. Like to me, I tell everybody I'm an artist. Even when I come perform, I'm an artist. But I don't care if I know you, don't know you. You're gonna find me, standing at the front of the stage or off to the side, somewhere out of the cameraman's way. So I'm gonna hype you up, even if I'm not vibing with you, man. Like even if I don't like what you're doing, music wise, not something I'd listen to every day. I'm still gonna get out there and rock with you, man, because you know you look out, and I've done clubs, where there's, 10, 15 people out there, and it's like, you get one or two people, you're like, all right, cool. I got somebody vibing with me, and then those couple people tend to start vibing around them, because you got one or two people doing it. So it's like, again, it's just back to building each other up, man, and working together. It's like, if we all come together and make enough noise, somebody's got to listen, regardless.
I fucks with that heavy. I have a very tangential question, but it comes from Zamanel
Okay.
in the audience, and I don't know if he was serious, but I love the question still because it's related to something I was curious about. Does Obsolete play Project Zomboid? Because the game takes place in how do you say it? Louisville and surrounding towns.
I do not. So I'm gonna have to look into that.
Do you game at all though?
Not much, man. I know I'll sound like, super corny here. I play like the NBA and the Madden every now and then when I did game, but like I mostly just started playing Fortnite a whole lot more because my kids play that and they live like 12 hours away. So that was really my way to like hang out and kick it with them and game
Bro,
out
that
on
is
something I
the
didn't like playing.
least lame thing you could have said. You're like, bro,
Well,
I
no, I meant like
connected to
gaming
my
wise. Like
kids.
everybody's like, oh, Fortnite. It's like, well, I'm not a diehard fucking play Fortnite every day fan, but if my kids want to shell out 12 hours on Fortnite, by all means, you'll catch me sitting in the chair gaming out with my kids on Fortnite. Like, but I was never a big gamer, no.
That's fire still. I never thought about the parental bonding that would come with Fortnite and how many people
Bro,
get
and
indoctrinated.
my son, like, he's crazy good at that game. Like, I started playing again simply because he was so hardcore about it. And, him and I started playing together, and I'm like, man, dude, I don't even want to play with you anymore. Like, you're making me look bad. I don't even think you were born when this shit came out. Like, what do you know about this? But, yeah, it's fun, man. And then my daughter got into it too. So, me my fiance and my son and my daughter just get on there and we'd squat up and just play for a couple hours, man. Have a good time.
Shit, that sounds like a stream waiting to be had, my guy. Family
My
time.
son's actually trying to get into that, man. Like he's big. That's all I keep hearing him talk about now. He's like, "Dad, I want to stream. I want to stream." And I'm like, "Well, Dad don't know much, but I
Now I'm
promise you,
hella
I'll
biased, but I would highly encourage that, and I can hook you up with a Microsoft Word file that might give you some instructions that help him get started.
Well, that would be super dope, bro. Because I told him, I was like, because he sees me. I tell people all the time, too, man. They're another big reason why I do music because I was that kid, when I told my dream to my parents, I kind of got laughed at and, got that old, suck it up and better have a better dream. But, like, I want my kids to see me, even if I fall flat on my face, to be like, Dad chased his dream. He wasn't scared. We're going to go do what we want to do. And I told my son when he started telling me about streaming, I was like, I don't know much about it. Dad does music and stuff like that, but everything I can learn about it, I promise I will soak up and, teach you and try to show you what I can because he's been adamant about it, man. That's all I've heard out of him for the
Oh
last
my
couple months.
gosh. Yo, the fact that you want to encourage him excites me. People may not notice, but my mom, my dad was super like that, like super discouraging of the music shit. Like half the reason I still rap is some petty vendetta because he told me I'd never be able to do it. He told me I would never sing, so I spent the last 10 years learning. My poor girlfriend had to suffer for this project.
And we've all been there, though, bro.
But shout out Immortal Radio for saying I play tons of Roblox with my daughter. Is Roblox tangentially is a metaverse, and your kids are being indoctrinated into the metaverse. So fuck your feelings, my guys. It doesn't matter. It's over. And
Facts.
I was thinking about like, cause I was that geeky internet kid. Yo, shut up, breakfast cereals. Yo, the lady friend Bonnie is the realest one. Yo, there's not like he said before. There's no obsolete without like her Becky 2482 or something. I think. Um, then yeah, basically we have Bonnie behind the scenes who does she uploads clips. She fucking does a lot of shit. I mean she's there, moderating. I mean I know for a fact she don't always listen, and sometimes she mutes the shit until I say shit like Bonnie, and she knows she has to show up and throw her face up and shit. But like she'd be there. She'd be like mad supportive. Like yo, you gotta just imagine what it's like to date somebody that goes live sometimes twice a day, almost every day and shit. Like it's not simple for her, for whatever it might
No.
be. Like, and she gotta deal with that, and then everything in her life is fucking exposed because she's dating me, and it's just what it is. Because I'm gonna talk about everything.
Right. That's exactly it, man. Like that's part of it. And then when you got somebody that supports it, bro, it makes it all the better.
So speaking of Immortal though, because Yeah, how did you link up with Immortal? Because I know that if you go to immortalradio.ca/obsolete, there's a whole page with. I would love to redo the font sizes, but otherwise, it's a wonderful page.
You have to yell at Aaron about that one. So I linked up with them over the Devil's Night Festival last year. Um, some crazy one of those. I'm still not quite sure how I wound up getting invited to be on the show. But after that performance, Aaron reached out to me and was telling me, they want to work with me and stuff like that. And he was like, man, here's my Discord. If you'd like, you and I can sit down, have a video chat and kind of talk it up and, see where your head's at and see, if we can kind of work together. And Aaron and I got on a video chat, dude, and I think we talked for like 2 hours the first time we talked. And I just kind of knew from then I was going to rock with those guys, man. Aaron's a good dude. That's my homie, man. I got nothing but love for him and all them dudes over at Enigmatic just because, they've all got that same mindset. Like, let's push each other, bro, and build something and make some noise. And, those dudes, we got people everywhere, man. Like, not, in the grand scheme of shit, as far as the world goes, like, we literally have guys, almost everywhere. So it's like, and we've all got that same mentality. So after Aaron and I talked, it was kind of over from there. I decided to sign and start rocking with those dudes, and they're helping me push this album when it gets dropped. And then I'm actually working on an album with just strictly their producers and their engineers and stuff that I'm going to be dropping towards the end of the year.
Another question:
Go for it.
Are you on that scribble tape?
I am. I got a verse for "Vengeance" is the beat, I believe.
I don't know which
That
one
was one of the
Vengeance
first things
is.
I did with them. Oh, it's gonna be dope when you hear that. I can tell you that.
Nah, I have all the beats on my computer, so I know about the tape. I was like, I just don't remember which one it is. I know he was like, do more verses, and I was like, I did the one verse, so, and then I gave it in, and then he has it, so that's wonderful. Because I sent it to him, and then the WeTransfer expired, and then I had to go resend it to him. There you go, Immortal. I fucks with Immortal though. I just want to shut him out for a second, cause like,
Oh yeah.
this conversation. Yeah, I'm a shithead, yo. That's what it is to fuck with me, Immortal. I'm a shithead. But Immortal's a great dude because, like, low key, he hit me up and has been really interesting in the level of supporter that he's been. So I did do this Devil's Night festival. I did all three of his festivals, and I thought that was cool. Like, he set up internet based YouTube shits. Arguably, we should have done it on Twitch, but he did it on YouTube, and next time he's gonna do it on Twitch and then put it on YouTube after. And it's basically like he collected artists from around the world, different locations. I know there was definitely a couple of continents represented, and it was like these 2-3 hour streams upon which you can see me and this man also. Both of us participated in this shit, so we came through. And then he did 2 more of them in the span of like 6 months. And it was pretty impressive to me because I felt like, in general, it was super in line with the internet communal goals and shit. And then behind the scenes, he's like, yo, bro, let me introduce you to this guy. And let me introduce you to this guy. And let's do this partnership shit. And then let me send this motherfucker over here. And then all of a sudden, people are in my fucking Instagram asking me for interviews. And all of a sudden, Immortal's here going, hey, yeah, there's the interview happening. Now, the thing about life is people like that are very fascinating. Upon which, if you really don't believe me, go watch the interview with Enigmatic. That's not out yet because he took forever to send me a picture, but will be coming soon. And when that drops, he's a super interesting dude. But basically, yeah, follow people like that because regardless to what you think, those are the people that make moves. A lot of people talk that talent game, but talk to people who introduce you to people. Those people are super valuable. And I would argue Immortal Beings on Instagram is probably somebody you want to follow. And apparently go to immortalradio.ca as his Twitch is reminding me of here. I suppose follow his Twitch because as he says, it's coming in 2022. So now you are one of the enigmatic artists, and I believe that plugged the shit out of your boss mans. So do you feel like it's dope being part of that. Like, do you feel like it's made a difference to you as an artist? Cause like, yo, it really is, affiliating with a label and stuff, and we're in a world of fuck a label. So being affiliated with that, like, was that hard for you to make that decision? And yeah,
First, and Aaron even said it himself. He was like, in the messages when we were talking on Instagram, he's like, I'm sure I probably sound like every crazy other spam email, or message you've gotten at this point. He's like, but that's why the whole video chat had got brought up, and after talking to him, man, I knew like it's what I wanted to do simply because it would, benefit me, yes, and help build these, work with them for all of us to build up together. But, just hearing that same love and passion that dude has for what he's doing. And then, I talked to him, I think it was last night, him and I were on video chat again for like 2 hours, just talking up ideas and chopping up, what we're going to do next with this and what we're going to try to do here. And, it almost like reignites that passion every time, of why we're doing this and that sense of purpose. And not just him, the other guys, Liam, and shout out Apollo. I seen him in the comments earlier. Guys like that, they've got
shout out
that
Apollo.
same. Shout out Apollo for sure. And then my dude Hermian that be mixing a lot of my stuff, and those dudes have that same vision, man. Like, we start working together and putting our names out, and making enough noise. There's enough of us out there, and enough, like you said earlier, the talent thing. I mean, all of us got the talent in spades, but building that community of people that, the numbers speak for themselves. Like,
The next question I have, I want to start asking this in every interview, is how you feel about VR and the future of the metaverse, and what your thoughts are as an artist going into the metaverse.
it's kind of intimidating just because I'm late to the party, I guess, as far as like learning to utilize these social medias and things like that, with my music and stuff. So it's like, I feel like I'm finally getting a little bit caught up, and it's like, oh, great. Now we're going to go do this. It's like, now I get to relearn and learn how to use all this shit. But other than that, it'll be interesting, man, because it looks like it's giving people a lot more opportunity to do exactly like what we're doing. And it's good in a sense, and scary in another aspect.
Yeah, I like that answer. Would you fuck around with VR performances?
Yeah, probably. I'll do anything once.
I love it. Nah, I mean, there's just a lot of advantages to it, I suppose. I mean, in regards to having spaces, I saw somebody watching Joe Rogan podcast playing pool, and I was like, say a word, people could be watching me playing pool if I create the room for it.
Yeah.
And so when do you think after your first project drops, you become following it up? Like, do you think your next run is going to be just a bunch of local shows promoting it, or are you going to come right away with the next project?
So the goal is I want to take like 6 months. I'm working on finishing this, getting this single finished up. I bought a beat pack from Krizz Kaliko and Wishmack Master back in November, with some beats and features from that. So I finally got one together that I'm finishing up now. I'm gonna drop that as a single. And kind of push that while the album's still going, and pushing the physical copies of the album and stuff. And then really just kind of push that for the next 6 months with the album, and slowly finish up this enigmatic album that I'm doing. And I've also got this collaboration EP that I'm working in between all of that, that'll have my Krizz Kaliko features on it, and the different features I'm doing with different artists and stuff like that, because I want to still be able to have, access to do those things, and not necessarily have to have a project for them, but still have a purpose for them if I don't just want to do a bunch of singles while working on another album.
Yeah, I feel that you're okay. The whole beat pack thing baffles me, to be honest with you. I have a lot of like, it's like one of those like, and then all the now that people can just like, I guess, share a Krizz Kaliko feature, because I heard, because like I've seen other versions of this, and I'm like, nah, man, I saw like 4 people use the same Crocodile verse. Now I'm not even hating on it. It's just like, for you as an artist, is that like a weird thing, or is it like you're
It
just
was
mad cool with it?
weird. The first time I did it, I got this beat combo pack from the oil temper thing when they were doing the the Capadonna and the Jaron Benton. That's where, when you played that Smooth Talk earlier, that's where that verse came
Yeah,
from.
because I was.
And it was really more so of a, yeah, everybody can use it, but it's like, if I make mine stand out enough, then it stands out to that aspect. I'm not big enough that I had to worry about so many streams, and now I need to go back and buy, the whatever license I need to have for it.
Hold on. So when you cop the beat pack, these like features have limited licenses.
But it's some, like, I don't want to say crazy high number, but you've got, like, you can do, I want to say it's like 500,000 streams, or certain ones have certain, you know, I guess contracts, if that's what you want to say. Like, if you, surpass certain things, then you have to come back and basically decide what to do from that point. And I think that's how they get away with, like, doing that to where everybody can still kind of use it, but still, if it gets past a certain point, you know what I mean? They've got to justify the numbers.
So basically, this whole business model is based on the fact that most people are probably not going to hit the number that's required, so thus it will never feel saturated to any local market.
Pretty much, and I think that, and then, like, I know with the Krizz Kaliko ones, you had the option to buy, like, I can't remember what it was, like, upgrade from the normal pack and spend like X amount more to get, however many more rights, or, whatever it was. And I didn't, go that route, just simply because, like I said, I don't see them. I'm still kind of in that weird stage where I don't see the numbers. If I drop one song and it hits those numbers, great, then we'll, cross that bridge when we get there. But until then, it was more so to just, another means to do a track and then say, hey, yeah, it's a beat pack, whatever, but open up that creativity to kind of do something different, you know what I mean? And still be able to say I did, whatever with it.
Can I ask a whole like question that might sound kind of dumb, but I'm still curious and I never thought about it before. So like,
Go
let's
ahead.
say you're at 498,000 streams. Are you allowed to let it get to like 501? Or are you like
Well, I
liable to get in
imagine,
trouble? Like, do you have to like go to them beforehand? Like, how does that
I'm not
actually work?
I'm not really sure. I guess I'd have to look into that myself, but I would imagine, like, at that point, it would be on the radar enough that, say for instance, whoever's beating stuff it would notice, and then at that point they'd reach out and be like, okay, cool, this was the original deal, you've reached this amount between now and, the time or whatever.
Because you have to like release it tagging these artists in their like official stuff.
Yeah, it's
Hold
weird.
up.
Like, I remember.
Immortal just said you Neil Young that fucker and take it down. Is that gonna be a thing? Can we do that? Can we just say we Neil Young stuff moving forward and that's just like the new slang? I'm in.
I mean,
I'm with
everything else
that.
is cancel
Yo,
culture, why not? Neil Young it. Let's go.
I'm with it. It works in all contexts. Immortal is done. That's the new process of removing your content from the internet to avoid legal ramifications slash ideological issues.
Neil Young it, bro. It never existed.
That's amazing. All right. Dude, that's awesome. Does anyone watching have any questions? I mean, again, shout out Immortal for being there too. I don't know if Immortal has questions because he'd be here like the whole time watching too. And like, do you have anything else that you are up to that you want to share with the people out there?
I mean, other than just dropping the album, these couple shows, man, just, steadily grinding, like, you know, working my ass off and trying to put my face in front of people that, ain't seen it before, and hell, even people that have, man, because, you know, I tell people all the time I want to be the hardest worker in the room, and I don't mean disrespect, anybody by that, but, that's my mentality, in my 9 to 5 job, and I treat that the same with this music shit. Like, I want to be that guy that you're seeing pop up everywhere, because that in itself shows, I'm not. This isn't a game to me. Like, I know that sounds shitty to say in some aspects, but like,
Nah, spit
I
that. It's not a
love
game
it.
shit.
It's not, man. Like, and it's, people, a lot of these people, not knocking nobody or hating on anybody, but a lot of these people see the glitz and the glamour and the go in the studio and record and, think that's what it is, and the glorious golden road to the top. And that ain't what it's about, man. Like, yeah, everybody hopes to write that one hit, and congratulations and good luck to everybody to do so. But it's the grind, man. Like, as much as I hate to say it, it's a weird, glutton for punishment type shit. Like, I love grinding it out and sitting in the studio for 3-4 hours after a long day, and then you're sitting there falling asleep while you're writing. It's like, man, I should go to bed, but oh, I only need 2 more bars for this verse, and I'm feeling it. Like, all right, we're gonna grind it out. Or whatever it is, man. Just working, working, working.
Yeah, and I think it's important that people recognize that this is actually what some people bring to it, that level of tenacity. So like when you decide what you're doing with your day, it's just worth remembering that people push it like that. Like, I try to push it like that. I don't know if you work harder than me. That's a super hard thing to measure. like, but like, I relate to all what you're saying. Like, that it's not a game shit. Like, nah, man. It's like this or I die or some shit. Like, what other choice is there? Like, yo, I'm so deep. It's like, yo, I can't stop this. In fact, it's like, I
No,
gotta find ways to go harder and smarter. Smarter though. Smarter
yeah,
is important.
most
But
definitely
like,
smarter.
yo, there's just a lot of people that are really willing to work 90 hours a week for the rest of their life out there. And those people will probably go farther than the people who only want to work 50 hours or the ones who want to work 42 hours. Like, it's just kind of a math thing because of the
Yep.
exponential growth on some Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hour shit.
One of my favorite quotes I heard in a song one time, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Like, everybody don't realize how bad you want to breathe until you can't. Like, and
I like
that's real
that.
shit.
What song is that?
Oh man, give me a second. I have to think. I think it's called "Pushing" by T Ferg. Maybe I'll find. I know if I YouTube it after we get off, I'll send you the link. It's like in the
Fire.
beginning little intro, but it's a nice little motivational track. But yeah, the first time I heard that, I was like, man, it's a whole like dude's giving a motivational speech at the beginning of the song. That's what it comes from. But the whole little story that he throws it in there with, I'm like, man, that's real shit. Like, everybody, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, it's like you drown your head in some water. You want to breathe pretty bad, and that's life, man. When you start, feel like you're treading water and floating and in over your fucking head, you want to breathe real bad.
I feel that heavy, man. Um, Immortal wants to know, and I feel like this is a little bit, he's plugging your project a bit. What are your favorite songs from the upcoming album?
My personal favorite, I love 86 just simply because it's fun to perform. Like, I
That's a
know it's
good
got that
reason.
little Ricky Bobby like vibe in the beginning, and that's kind of my attitude. Like, I know that arrogant, cocky shit comes out there. Like, that's kind of how I feel. Also, I really like All Work No Play, simply because that was a project I started putting together like in May of last year, maybe. And when I first heard the beat, I immediately knew who I wanted to put on it. So I got it ready and sent it over to the first guy, and it took him a couple months, and he got it back to me. And then my other homie, Be Good, it took him a little while to get it back to me. But when I first got it back, now, I told my fiance, I said, I wish I would have told you to record it, when I listened to it that first time, because it came out way better than I would have expected it to. So hearing that's definitely one of my favorites on the upcoming album. And Me and My Depression, even though that's one of the first tracks I did when I first started, as Obsouleet. Um, just because that song, like, if anybody's really going to feel the song on my album, I think that'll probably be the one. Uh, just because, we all deal with that type of stuff, whether we want to admit it or not. And
Hmm.
it's about as raw as you get, as far as me as an artist.
I fucks with that. I definitely felt you wanted to be authentic with your music, so that's why I used the word authenticity in the title. And I fucks with that. Immortal wants a no plug question too. Fair. Three
Okay.
dream collabs that you would love by the end of your career.
Ritz is automatically got to be up there, just for the impact on his music in my life alone. Jelly Roll probably be the other one, just because I really love where he's come as an artist and the stuff he's doing. And then I'm going to throw an off the wall one out of there and say it'd be a toss up between J. Cole or Joyner Lucas. Just because those are two, like, more the, I hate calling them mainstream artists, but like those guys that you're seeing on the radios and stuff that, those guys are pretty dope, artists in my opinion. So,
Yeah, I feel like Joyner, I had to get over myself to get into what he's doing. And then when I got over myself, I respect him more. But it took me a minute. I don't really like his music, but I don't. I felt like I was being an old man hater about Joyner Lucas for a minute, but I respect
he
that
took a
shit.
minute to go on me too, man. Like Joyner, my fiance really liked him. She kind of had more love for him than I did at first, and then he dropped just a couple tracks, man. Like I don't even think they were more of his like radio hits that just kind of caught my attention. When I was like, all right, maybe I should give him a little more of a listen. But Ritz and Jelly Roll, like I said, man, those two especially Ritz. I remember, when he signed with Strange Music, dropping that questions freestyle or whatever it was in the booth, man, I still watch that video to this day. Like, when he White Jesus and all that, like, those guys, just watching what they've done, with their careers and where they're at still, man. You respect their grind because those were those dudes, man. They weren't gonna take no for an answer, and they were gonna pop up, holding the wall, middle of nowhere, because they knew that's what they had to do.
I respect that. I never got that far into the deepness of their culture, but then all of a sudden, it's like there really is this entire subculture that these dudes have built off of, like, I mean, after Ritz left Strange Music, he did a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of them did, and I respect that a lot. But you have another follow up part to that, um, an out of genre collab.
Out of genre collab. Ooh. Okay, can I follow his question with a question for my answer? Dead or alive?
Both. Whenever somebody asks me that, I'm like,
Oh.
well, if you're giving me a choice, I want both the answers.
All right, so alive out of genre. I'd want to do like either Matchbox 20 or
Say the word.
like dude, that's like my niche singing wise, like vocally, that's about my realm. What I like to try to do between something like that and like Johnny Cash. That's why I asked Dead or Alive, man, because those are two that I could think of. I'd love to personally just with my vocals be able to sit down in a room and make a song with.
And another random one, because Immortal's like, hold on, he's indulging me. Uh, two dream countries slash areas to perform that are not in the United States of America.
Ooh, I don't know what the scene's like over there, but I'd love to go to Ireland just because that's somewhere I want to go. So it'd be kind of cool to
Oh,
perform out there. Like, um, and then the other one, uh, either Japan or Australia, because those two just seem like a kind of weird market to tap into that would be kind of fun.
yeah. Those are pretty freaking good answers. And I like the fact that you're like, fuck my desires. What markets can I integrate into the best? Hmm. Which is less like dream and more strategic, but I fucks with the answer still. Obsouleet, this is a cool conversation. I really think you brought a lot of interesting to the table, and your just willingness to be open minded is refreshing. I really fucks with that. I mean, maybe that's just the Kentucky spirit, but like again, it's not like it's. I mean, I'll rectify it, man. I'll come through one day. I want to go see all these other places I've never been, cause yo, sometimes this Montreal, like we kind of up our asses a little bit with our northern shit. It's just kind of what it is. And it's good to see the rest of the world and see how other people live. So I really appreciate you sharing, I guess, all your perspectives and stuff with us. That's why we call it Bridge the Gap, so we can, connect and see things a little bit different like that. Thank all of you out there for watching too, right? Because it's cool to see the comments come through. It's like, it's just enjoyable and it makes it more fun and keeps at least myself more energized throughout the whole process because you can feel that like it's not like real life, but it's also not like what people who never do it feel it is on the internet. Internet's crazy energy. It's weird. um
Yeah.
Shout out all the people who watching in the future. Like, follow, subscribe, all the good stuff. Patreon.com/behind that suit. It would be super lovely. All the good stuff out there. And do you have any last words you want to say to the fine people of the universe?
First, man, I want to shout you out. I appreciate you having me. Like, definitely, what you're doing. I love seeing stuff like this because it's giving us, opportunities to do just that, kind of, deep down and kind of pick apart the person, who they are as an artist and how they get to where they are. Second, like you said, shout out to everybody watching, sitting in the comments and stuff like that. I appreciate all you guys, man, because, at the end of the day, that's what we do this for. Like, I do it because I love it, but, seeing people and, supporting and stuff like that. And, shout out to everybody, battling with whatever it is they got, demons, depressions, all that stuff, man. Like, keep fighting no matter what your dreams are, no matter what you do. At the end of the day, the only person that can tell you yes and mean it with all, every word is you. And go out there and do what you want. We get, regardless of religion or belief or all of that, we get one chance in this physical form of a person. And at the end of the day, I never wanted to be that 70, 80-year-old man going, oh, I wish I would have did this or I should have done that. Or no, man, I want to live, do what I want to do. And that's what everybody should do within, certain
Facts.
reasons. Like, it's our life and we should get to live it. And, while you're doing that, support everybody else, man. Life's hard enough. We all got bills. We all got, drama or, shitty jobs or whatever it's like. But, just support each other, man. You never know what the next guy's going through. A little love and a little good vibes in the world can go a long way.
Yo, big facts. I appreciate that. That's a good ending. Thank you all once again for being here. Yo, live long and prosper, everybody.
Peace.